All right, guys, we're back, and I have got great news today. I have brought Ryan Lapard in, and he is from DDS Match, and he's going to answer all the questions that we have about the non-compete. So we got to go to the experts. So Ryan, you're the expert. Give us a little bit of information about you.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I'm Ryan Lapard. I'm with DDS Match South. I have spent over 20 years in the dental industry, the bulk of it in the banking sector, financing dentists and working with their acquisitions and startups and remodels and all of that good stuff for about 14 years. And then now for the last 7 years, I've been helping dentists with their transition needs, whether they're just looking to get a value of their practice, looking to hire an associate, or ultimately looking to transition and sell their practice.
Awesome. So DDS Match takes care of all the things transition. You will also have you help associates find special homes, right?
Yep. Yeah, we do associate placements as well. It's actually quite a significant portion of our business where we help the young dentists find more private practice associate opportunities. We don't really work with the big groups and DSOs because they've got their own recruiting teams. But if a dentist is looking to find a job opportunity as an associate with a private practice, then we're a good place to go to, and we can help make that connection.
And I'm all things private practice.
Yeah,
you got to keep the private practice private. I
you do.
love it.
Yeah.
So, there's a place for everybody, but there's something special about having your own private practice and be able to run the game the way that you want, take care of patients the way that you want, and then match up dentists who actually kind of align with that philosophy.
Right.
Not everybody a great fit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So there's a big question that's out there is how does this non-compete really affect the seller and how does it affect the buyer? So give us the seller. If I'm selling my practice, what should I be looking at?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. First of all, let me say you should always start with your attorney and make sure you ask them any pertinent legal questions. But when it comes to the non-compete that's being rolled out, it's not been officially rolled out yet. I think there was a 120-day window, which I believe September is when that will expire. And my guess is there'll be some groups that'll contest it before it gets rolled out, since it's quite broad reaching. But for the most part, if you are selling your dental practice, it doesn't have much of an impact at all. It is an employee non-compete. So you're going to have a non-compete as a seller. You're going to not be able to own a practice, or practice dentistry within 10 miles of where you sold your practice, or 15 or 20, whatever, depending on what type of area you're in. That's going to still stay and still going to be enforceable. So from a buyer, you can feel very confident that your asset and your goodwill should be protected when you purchase it, because the seller can't go just get a job down the street or next door, or open up an office nearby. Now, as an employee, it changes a little bit. So if you're selling a dental practice where you have mainly just associates working it, like you're not actually in the practice working, yes, so it could have an effect there. And that's still a lot, yet to be determined how that plays out. Because if somebody's just an employee and you don't have an enforceable non-compete, that could affect the value of the practice, because those associates could, obviously go next door and open up a practice. So we'll see how that plays out. But those practices are fewer and farther between than the standard retiring dentist just looking to sell their practice, and they're going to always be held to that non-compete.
Yeah. How have you felt in terms of when your doctors are asking you this question and they're saying, how is this going to affect me? How's this going to affect me? What kind of advice are you all giving them on this non-compete? Because it's not official yet, but there's a window.
Yeah, well, first again, consult your attorney, but
Sure.
It's still business as usual. So nothing's been rolled out, nothing's been official, nothing's been set in stone. So you can't go with the what ifs, and you can't think it's not going to be enforceable in 6 months, because it could change. So we're advising them, just it's business as usual right now.
Yeah.
Yes, it could change in a few months, but right now we just have to treat it as how it's always been.
Oh yeah, and there's so much talk all over, like all these Facebook groups. Everybody's chatting. What if? What's going to happen? How's this going to affect me? I mean, it's a pretty hot topic right now. Of
Yeah.
just it's the Bitcoin of dentistry right now.
Well, we could play the what if game for a long time, and
Yeah, we could.
you just got to deal with what you can in front of you right now.
Absolutely. Well, I keep telling my docs, I'm like, man, treat your associates good, give them good packages, help them to
Definitely.
want to be there. And I mean, because if you have a great private practice and you have great team members and you're doing really good dentistry, I mean, no dentist wants to job hop.
Right.
I mean, that's incredible to think that you might have multiple jobs during your dental career and turning it over and turning it over. Oh, the
Right.
credentialing, the stress, that's a lot. So I'm like,
Yeah, it's
get
not
rid
easy
of
making a
them.
change.
Oh, not at all. I mean, those are, it's not like an employee. We're
Right.
really talking about the whole process of
Yep.
getting to know your patients. So we're still at the take good care of your people, give them what they need, but also
Yeah.
get what. So back to what are they bringing to the table and what are you able to bring to the table. So that's
Yeah.
good stuff. What else is going on in the world of transition? So we know non-compete's kind of up in the air, but it's on our radar. We're
Hmm.
all paying attention to it.
Hmm.
What else is happening in the South in transition?
Well, it's still a very active market, and 2024 has been a great year, as was 2023. And I guess if we're kind of looking at trends, and one question we get asked about all the time are, what's happening with the DSOs, what's happening with the corporate buyers? Are they still, gobbling up practices, left and right at high valuations? And it's interesting. We're probably seeing a little bit of a change in the DSO buyer market, and some of it's predicated on the fact that we're in a higher rate environment. So, their money costs more, just like it does the individual buyers. When the money
Yeah.
costs more, you can't quite pay as much as you could have in the past. And some of the groups are having trouble getting recapped, which means getting refinanced from after their private equity partner is ready to move on, or if they don't have a private equity partner yet, they're trying to find one, and it's just been a slower process, and some have drawn out well past the kind of the 5 year normal window, going on 6, 7, and 8 years. So that's certainly affecting things. So we're seeing not necessarily lesser activity with the DSOs. We're just seeing them be more picky, and we're seeing their offers be structured a little bit differently, where there's um, maybe a little bit more risk for the seller. They're putting more in equity and back end money instead of upfront cash. So
Yeah.
so that's certainly interesting. And then as far as individual buyers, they're still very active. It's funny, everybody wonders how much DSOs are buying and taking over, and really, we still sell probably 2/3 of our practices to the individual buyers, the owner occupier. So private dentistry is still very much thriving and going to for the foreseeable future.
Oh, absolutely. I kind of say, what goes around comes around. We watch the trend. It's no
Yep.
different than clothes and styles. We watch it happen, and then we see it all of a sudden go back to the individual again. I mean, get big, big, and then wait a minute, private practice is really good. So I think the
Yep.
last time I saw some numbers, it was like we were still 52% private practice. That's
Yeah, it really
huge.
depends on who you look at and how they quantify it. But yeah, I mean, it's still very much largely in favor of private practice. And you look at what
Absolutely.
happened with Walmart. They tried to do dentistry, and that failed. They're closing all those down. I mean, it's funny that model. Not a lot of people are old enough to remember, but Sears in the '80s had dental offices in them. That didn't work out. So people don't remember these things, and
No,
so
but it comes around
it
again.
does. It absolutely does.
Walmart's the Sears. Let's try this. It doesn't work. Hopefully, there's some good equipment for sale.
Right, right,
Let's
sure.
gobble up that equipment as fast as we can. So, well, these trends are important for dentists, whether you're buying or selling. You got to kind of stay up to date with what's going on. There's a lot of things happening, obviously, with staffing. I'm seeing a lot of slowdown on the DSO side just because these rural areas or suburban areas, you're having to attract more people and train. We're having to train from the ground up. But
Yep.
so that kind of slows down movement too and opens up for, the private buyer. I mean, if you're willing to train, you're
Yep.
going to be able to retain well and take good care of people. Man, the private practice. I know. I'm
Yeah.
like the preacher. I'm the soapbox preacher on that. All right. Well, you also have you've got some new products and stuff at DDS Match. What's going on there that dentists, private practice dentists might be interested in?
Yeah, so we've always had a great solution for a young dentist who's expanding and needs to hire more people. We can help place associates or the dentist that's ready to transition immediately, in the next year to 2 years. We've always been able to serve them and help them very well. But where we saw a need and a hole is the doctor who is maybe 5 to 10 years away from transitioning,
Right.
and how we could help them, because we've gotten into a few situations where a seller comes to us and said, okay, hey, we're ready to sell. Let's put this on the market. And then we run into situations that, landlords controlling the sale because the lease is not properly written, or the value expectations aren't where the doctor expected them or where they needed to be for their retirement. So how could we, and the list goes on and on of those type of
Sure.
issues, but how could we help a dentist now who's 5 to 10 years away? How can we help them put their practice in the best position to sell, where it's going to get the best, financial gain, where it's going to be most attractive to find the right match for the practice, for the culture of the practice, and then avoid any roadblocks of letting landlords control the sale of your practice or whatever might be out there. So how can we help them? So we created a product called the Practice Optimizer Experience. Essentially, it's a 7-8 step process that we start now to ultimately get the doctor towards the finish line of being in that great position to sell in 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And, it goes through finding out, okay, what's the practice worth now? Where do we need to be? Are you properly prepared from your estate planning? What, if something tragic happens, can the practice, sell quickly, or can you fill a doctor in quickly? Are you just prepared for everything? So we go through this kind of comprehensive process and updating it annually to make sure that whenever that doctor's ready to say, hey, Ryan, I'm ready to transition, that we have them in the best position they possibly can be.
Wow. So that's kind of the guy who's, in his 30s, 40s, that's just thinking ahead, making these plans,
Yep.
sitting and looking and talking and going, what's my 1 year? What's my 3 year? What's my 5 year? What's my 10 year plan? You guys are kind of coming along with them and saying, let's start at 10 years and work backwards and see what your targets are. So we help you meet those metrics. That's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I told everybody you're the smartest guy out there. If we want to talk transition, let's talk to Ron and see what's going on.
I don't know about that, but we definitely work hard.
That's awesome. Well, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and talk about transitioning their practice or talk about this new model that you all got, this optimizer, or ask you questions, how did they get a hold of Ron?
Yeah, well, very easily, you can go to ddsmatch.com and connect with me there. You can even go to our east website, ddsmatchsouth.com, and connect there. Or simply Lapard at ddsmatch.com is my email address. So, yeah, please feel free to hit up any of the websites. And, of course, we're on all the social media platforms, DDS Match South. So
Awesome. Well, I'm appreciative of your time just to make sure that we're all on the same page. We're all rowing the boat together, and docs are getting their questions answered. So we know a lot now about non-competes. We know a little bit more about what some trends are going on. And then if you want to know more about this optimizer, you're going to reach out to Ron. So Ron,
very
thanks
good.
for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.
That was
Have a
awesome.
great day.